out of Maine. A district court order issued just a few minutes ago imposes new restrictions on nurse Casey Hickox. Among other things, she's not allowed to go to public places or leave Fort Kent. She has to stay 3 feet away from everyone. But while different states have taken different approaches in the way they handle people returning from West Africa, the Pentagon has been very clear. If you're a member of the military coming back from that part of the world, you're going into quarantine for 3 weeks, period.
This is about a major military operation and big things on a global scale. And so we took a conservative approach, and we'll assess it in 45 days. But we're going to keep them safe.
Even the strictest form of response by states only calls for quarantine if you've come in contact with Ebola patients. But other states are simply monitoring people, some by sending officials, others by asking people to do it themselves. Joining me now to break all of this down, Delaware Democratic Senator Chris Coons, who chairs the Senate Subcommittee on African Affairs. His state is monitoring nearly a dozen people that recently returned from West Africa. And Senator Coons, thanks so much for being on the show. I'll ask you, as a member of Congress, you obviously see all these different state protocols. What New Jersey wanted to do is now vastly different from what Maine is doing, confusing to a lot of people. Should there be one set of uniform federal rules that dictate how folks returning from these areas should be treated, especially healthcare workers?
Well, Luke, I think it is important that President Obama and the federal government take a clear and positive stance on one issue in particular. And I just wrote an editorial about this, and that's how we treat the heroes who are volunteering to go to West Africa and treat those who are infected with Ebola. When they return to the United States, and I believe the president should guarantee that they will have a right to return to the United States, we should make it clear that they'll have their health care funded, and any income that they lose through a up to 21-day risk-based quarantine should be replaced. So in other words, one of the biggest threats that these different standards in terms of quarantines provide is that those who we most need to go to fight Ebola where it is raging out of control in 3 West African countries might be deterred from going if they have fears that they may be prevented from coming back to the United States. So we need to step up and recognize and reward the missionaries and the volunteers who've done most of this work by guaranteeing their right to return and guaranteeing that they'll have their health care and their lost income paid for. States, Luke, have historically had the freedom to set their own standards as to how they respond to contagious diseases. But I do think we need to strike the right balance and have risk-based monitoring that is informed by science, not politics.
Senator Coons, stay with us. We have to turn over to this manhunt in Pennsylvania. So sorry.